All right, I've been waiting to do this. I'm very excited. I'm going to be modeling this Renegade Rollers, and this is by Bully Productions for Epic Games. I believe it was part of the Fortnite game. And this modeling session is suitable for relative beginners, and so that's why I'm so excited to do this. And it's such a cool object, cool model to do. So, of course, this is not my image, but I'll leave a link to where you could find this and a link to the ArtStation page so you can check out more of this fantastic work. All right, so here we are in Blender. So let's get started. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to bring in that image as a reference image, and we're going to model against it. All right, so I'm going to press number 1 on the keypad, and that's going to bring me to front orthographic view, sort of straight on looking from the front, and that's what we're going to want. Now we're going to bring in the image, so you press Shift A, and from this list we're going to come down, we're going to choose image reference. Now we navigate to where we have the image, here it is, and click load reference image. We'll scroll the mouse wheel, I can zoom in. So there is the model. Now, my 3D cursor is this circle here with the red and the white, and I want to move that to the bottom of the image, and the easiest way is to move the actual image. So with the image selected, I'm going to press G, and I'm just going to pull. I'm not even pressing any mouse buttons down. And I'm going to put it near the bottom. I'm going to zoom in like that. I'm going to press G, and I'm going to try to center this up as much as I can. I think the 3D cursor is pretty close to the middle of this image here. We're going to model against this one. These ones are, tilted to the side. This one is pretty good. It's not perfect, but so this is called the empty. All right, it's called an empty, but it's the reference image. And if you want, you can double click that and change that. That might be a little easier to remember. You can turn it on and off with the eye. And if you scroll your mouse wheel up here, if this part is hidden, when you click here, choose this arrow. That will now put that arrow in, and that allows me to, if I click it off, I can't select this image, and move it by accident. Okay, I'm going to press 1 again, look from the front. All right, so we're ready to start modeling this thing. Now, the one thing I should say is that our model may look a little different than the original, and I may actually do something different down here instead of this hole. I'm not sure if I want to do it that way or not, but we'll model all the rest of it and eventually put some nice textures on this. Okay, so we need to think about how to create these shapes. All right, Blender starts with a default cube. Is this a square? Well, no. Is it a circle? Yeah, it looks relatively circular. How about a cylinder? Could we start with a cylinder? And is it straight? No, it's sort of bent in a little bit. So how could we achieve that? Well, let's do that. Let's press 1 to go to the front view. Zoom in a little bit. I'm just zooming in by rolling my scroll wheel. And if I want to move this a little bit, I'm pressing down Shift and pressing my middle mouse button, and I can pan it around. All right, so let's get started. Shift A, mesh, cylinder. Before I do anything else, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to choose, let's say, 18 for the vertices. Now, that's not that many vertices. It starts with usually 32, but we're going to be putting a subdivision surface on this to smooth it out, so 18 is going to be fine. Enter, and we've got that. I can click that down, and we're going to start editing this. Now we're in object mode right now. I can scale and rotate, but I can't really edit it. But I'm going to go ahead and go into edit mode by pressing the tab button, and I'm also going to press Z, which will bring up this little pie menu here. And I'm going to choose wireframe, that way I can see inside it. So I want to make this cylinder smaller so it matches the diagram, so I'm going to press S. And it's scaling it from the 3D cursor, from the middle there. So let's zoom in again with the scroll wheel. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to click on this blue arrow in the Z direction and just pull it up so that this bottom line here is right about where, here I'll move it up so you can see, right about where it seems to change and then taper down. All right, I can also press GZ there, right to about there. Okay, I'm going to press Alt-A, what was it? Alt-A to deselect. I'm going to press 2, which brings me into edge selection. See, there's vertex selection. I can select vertices. Edge selection, I can select edges, or face selection, and I can select faces. I'm going to go into edge selection for now. And I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt and click this bottom edge, and that'll select the whole thing all the way around. Press 1. And I want to create this bottom section. In order to do that, I don't want to just pull this down and then press S and scale. It'll change the shape of everything. Let's go back a little bit. Instead, I'm going to press E to extrude, left click, and then pull it down. And that's created a new section of geometry that I can work with. If I now press S to scale, S, I can bring it in until it somewhat matches the diagram. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. All right, let's go Alt-A and deselect. And let's come back to this edge here. Shift and Alt and click it so we get the whole thing all the way around. Press 1 to go to the front. And we may want to make this transition a bit smoother, so the way we'll do that is with beveling. I'm going to press Control B, pull, create a section like this. Now, how big this is a little bit arbitrary. There's no rule to that. But what we're going to do is we just pull the mouse down and then roll your mouse wheel up. And I like to use odd numbers like 5. You know, so I've got sort of 2 edges, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then roll my mouse wheel up. 1, 2, 3. And just keep pulling your mouse till you sort of like the transition. Left click to accept. Alt-A to deselect. Let's press the tab button to go back into object mode, Z and solid. And you can see what we're starting to get. Let's go back into edit mode, turn it, and you will see, press 3 for face selection and click here. You have one big face with many vertices, so press 1 actually. You can see all the vertices for this one face. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to press X and choose delete faces. I'm then going to press number 2 for edge selection and Shift and Alt and click and select that edge. I want to end this off. Let's go back into wireframe, Z wireframe. I can't really see the bottom, so I don't know exactly how. At this point, I can still manipulate this if I want to. The way I'm going to end it off, I think, is I'm going to press E to extrude, click S to scale, pull in a little bit, and then to close it off, let me go back into solid view, Z and solid. There's a few different things we can do. I'm going to hide the reference image. We can press F to make a face, and that can work. Or I'm going to undo that. I can choose face, grid fill, and that will fill it up like that. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave that for the moment. Go back into edit mode, press 3 for face selection, select this face. Let's get rid of that. X faces. Go back into solid view 1. All right, now it's not very smooth looking yet, but it will be soon. I'm going to turn the reference image back on, and we're going to continue to model. I'm going to go into edit mode, press 2 on my keypad, and get edge selection, Shift and Alt and click there, Z wireframe, and we are ready to keep going. I'm going to just pull this up. So we've got this area to deal with, all right, but let's move on for the moment. I'm just holding down Shift and middle mouse button, pull this up to here, zoom in, and hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan, zoom in until we get right up to here before it slopes in. Now press S to scale, pull it into about there, adjust this to the way that you like it, All right, so that's what we have. We have this whole upper edge selected. We need to create this new section, so we need some more geometry. So let's press E to extrude, left click, pull it up, and then S to scale, and get it to match the diagram. Now don't worry if it doesn't match the diagram perfectly, it never does. Just do a nice job of it. We're going to continue up here, E to extrude, left click, and pull up. To do this, extrude and scale, E, pull up first to about there, and then S to scale. Now, see the way the diagram's not even perfectly straight, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, just position your reference image so you can see it. Let's extrude up to this line right here. E to extrude, pull it up to there before it starts sort of rounding off and coming in. Let's extrude up to here and then scale, E, S, pull it in. We'll work on this transition in a minute to get it straighter. And then this is the last section of this part, and then this is a different piece, so we'll do that later. E to extrude, pull it up. Alright, that's good enough. Now, I'm going to press Z and solid view. That's an open hole. So I'm going to press E to extrude, click S, and that's probably good enough. Just pull it in, because this piece will fit over it and you won't see it as long as you have a little bit there. Okay, now we need to make some changes to this in a moment. Let's select this edge by pressing Shift and Alt and click. 1 for front view, Z for wireframe. Select this edge, Control B to bevel, and pull, and it will remember your last selection. I had 3 other edges in there for a total of 5, and that's probably what I want. So just pull it, decide where you're happy with the transition, like maybe something like that. Go back into solid mode and you can see I've got a better transition. I'm going to have to do some work on this in a while, but let's go ahead and put on a subdivision surface for this. So you can either do this with the shortcut keys. I'm going to do Control 2, or you can come over here to the modifiers, press the wrench, search for subdivision surface, and make sure we have 2 for each of these. Now that has made it sort of shrink down a little bit, so we're going to put some supporting edge loops on this. Go into edit mode, we'll go into wireframe. Actually, I don't know if I want wireframe. Let's not do that for now. Now, I can't really exactly tell you where you need to put these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in an edge loop up near the top to tighten it up here. And the way I'm going to do that is when I press Control R for a new cut. All right, you'll notice it goes way down there. I was looking up here and I want to put it near here, but you can't just put it here. It goes into the middle of the object. You go Control R, click, and drag, and pull it near the top. Not right to the top, near the top. Now I'm going to zoom in. Now, if I don't like the position of this, I want to move this edge along the edges that already exist. If I just do this, you can start to change the shape of this. Now, I don't know how well you can see it here. So I'm going to press G and G, GG, which is edge slide, and it will slide this loop along the existing edges and keep the angles. Let's have a look at that. Now it's not looking perfect yet. Let's also select, right click, and shade smooth. That will make it look a little bit better. Let's put a few more in and then we'll start to see the real effects of this. See this area here looks a little bit like a weird lemon. Let's do something about this. This piece right here, that's like the neck. Let's put an edge loop and pull one up and pull one down. Control R, click, and drag, but not too tight. Just about there. Control R, similar distance. I want this to be smooth but not too tight. Okay, it's getting there. Let's do a little bit more. Let's come in, and this area here, if I put an edge loop here, click and drag it down, again not too tight, leave it about there. Now I start to see a shape similar to this. Let's zoom in a little bit. Alright, this is a little bit sharper, so let's do that. Let's come in and think about that. If I was to pull this down a little closer, start to sharpen that up, I suppose I could do more. So often what you'll do is, this was the original edge, all right, without this one. Let me get rid of that for a second. This was the original edge. Often what you'll do is you will put an edge loop above and below. Now if I bring that really close, it becomes really sharp. If I put it there, it sharpens it up. And I feel that's too sharp. So I'm going to take this, I'll press GG, and this one. Now this is where the GG really is important. Watch this. If I just move this down, it changes the shape of the whole thing. But if I press GG, it'll move down along those edges. I don't want it that sharp, I want it like that. This one, however, maybe could come down a little bit. And maybe this one could come up a little bit. Okay, now this part here is supposed to have a nice straight neck. So let's put an edge loop, click, pull it down a little bit. You'll just have to get a feel for how far to pull it down. If you pull it right to there, it becomes very sharp. Pull it around there. Okay, that's not quite enough, so let's try one here. Click, pull one here, sort of equal distance away. Okay, we can come in here and do one more edge loop and bring it near the top, and that will sharpen that up. Now it looks like a bit of a tube there that I could connect to that piece. Okay, let's look around. I think that looks great. Don't forget to Control S, save, or File, save as. Once in a while. Now there's another piece on here we need. Let's select it. Press Tab to go into edit mode. Let's Alt A to deselect anything, and Z for wireframe. And we will see there is an indentation here. So we're going to need to do that. So I'm going to drop down an edge loop. I go Control R and pulling. I don't see it right now, but it's way down near the bottom. It should be. There it is. Now, because I released it, I don't want to just do this. I'm going to press G and G, GG. Come on up. Where is it? There it is. Let's come over here. GG. GG, slide it up to about there. Let's come out and just make sure we haven't made any major changes. Nope. Okay, in wireframe. I can now pull this up a little bit, and that's okay. To make this groove, I'm going to create a space, and I'm going to do that by using the bevel tool. Control B, pull, but I'm going to put just actually 0 segments in there. I'm going to roll my mouse back to 0 until I have a space like this. I'm going to turn off the subdivision surface because I'm finding it distracting. So make a space using bevel, and I'll do that again. Control B, pull. If you have any segments in there, see the lines? Just roll your mouse back to 0. Get an area you like. Left click. So I've got that. I'm going to press E and Alt S. E, click, Alt S, and I'm going to pull downwards. And I'm just going to roughly follow the diagram. It's hard to tell. All right. So E to extrude to make new geometry. Alt S to scale along the normals, and that pulls it in all the way around. Let's have a look at that. All the way around like that. I get a nice indentation. I can turn this back on. And I'm going to deselect, and you'll see I have an indentation. But it's not very visible. It's not very delineated. Not like this. So to make it look a little bit better, I'm going to put an edge loop on either side of this groove. I'm going to do it up here first. Control R, click, and drag. Let's have a look at that. See the way that's sharpened that up. And to do this one, I'm going to have to zoom out so I can see the edge loop. Click, drag it up close, zoom in, and that might be good enough. In fact, I don't want... I'm going to take this one, actually, GG. I'm going to pull it closer. GG. A little bit closer. I don't want this one so close. I'm just going to pull it up a little bit. Alright. I can turn off the reference image, and that is what we have so far. And that's the main handle. Okay, it looks similar to this. I think it looks pretty close. Aside from that, we'll come back to that later. All right, press 1. Turn back on the reference image, and let's have a look at this. We're going to create this piece now. So one of the things you have to do in any 3D modeling program, and Blender in particular, is think about how are we going to achieve this shape. You could also be thinking about how am I going to do this in terms of polys if you're creating a game asset, but because I'm not worried about how many polys right now, we'll just focus on how to do the shape. Now, this looks like a cylinder, but it's a little rounded, all right? So that would be difficult if you just brought in a cylinder, but I'll show you a very easy way to do this, all right? Now, because I want to create a new piece and I want it to start around here, I'm going to bring my 3D cursor there, but I don't want to just click it anywhere, all right? I'm going to come in, and with nothing selected, I'm going to shift and alt and click something up here like this circle. Make sure that it's something that's symmetrical and goes all the way around. And with my gizmo there, I'm going to press Shift S, Shift and S. That brings up this pie menu. See this one here? Cursor to selected. There. Deselect and go back into object mode. My 3D cursor is now there, and I can start my new object right about there. And what new object am I going to use? Well, I'm going to use a plane, believe it or not. Shift A, mesh plane. All right. And I'm going to go into edit mode. And there it is. Press 1 for vertex selection. You see there are 4 vertices on that. I'm going to merge them. M, merge at center. Press 1 to go to front view. I have 1 vertex right there. I'm going to use this and trace out what's like bones to this thing. Watch this. I've got that one selected. E to extrude, and I'm going to pull this up. So I'm going to create the inside, like the bones, like I say. Press E and G and grab and to pull this out here. And roughly go in the middle. You can always come back to this. Come on. I just want to have this piece relatively straight. It's not critical. Select this point. Press E and G. And come to around the beginning of the elbow here, or maybe into the middle of the elbow. E and G, come up here, and then E and come straight. I can maybe take these two and bring them a little bit more central. You know, it's just sort of trial and error. You just manipulate these points. Again, I just pretty much want this part straight, so it goes into the roller part, and this part straight, so it connects to the handle. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We've got these bones, and they're not very rounded. We're going to round them by selecting the vertices, hold down Shift, where there is a bend or a curve. Those ones. This one is flat, this one's flat. And with those selected, we're going to bevel these vertices. Normally we do Control B, but because they're just separate vertices, we have to do Shift Control B. All right, that was Shift and Control and B, and now pull. But don't have them going all crazy like that. Just pull and then start rolling your mouse up. I usually like to have 5 in there, to be quite honest, but 3 may work for us. So let's just click to accept and look at this. So a vertex down here, and it comes up, and I got 3 vertices sort of describing the curve. Now we'll put a subdivision surface on eventually. 3, and then these ones are awfully close. Let's go with that and see how well it works. Go back into object mode, and we have just this line in there. We're going to convert this actually into a curve. Object, convert, curve. And that now creates this icon over here. So we're going to click that. And we have this information. We're going to scroll down to where it says geometry and bevel. And now we're going to increase the bevel depth. I'm just going to start pulling this. Now often I hold down shift because I move in slower increments. And you can see it's starting to thicken up. Now don't worry about overlap yet. And by the way, let's press 1 so we can look from it from the side. Don't worry about overlap right now. We're going to have to deal with that. But you see the way I've thickened it up. And I'm going to have to thicken it up a little bit more so that looks like the diagram. And we get this. And also don't worry about whether or not it goes all the way, because I can adjust this. And I want this to go inside a little bit. So let's just leave it like that for the moment. And you can see, all right, I've got a bit of a 3D pipe, curved pipe, with what looks like crossing over. And we're going to work on that now. So let's look from the front. With it selected, let's go into edit mode. And you can see these points. Now if I start pulling these points, you can see this. Now to see it better, I'm going to come over here, down to viewport, and I'm going to choose wireframe. And now you can see that while these vertices make up what's called a curve, I can also see the other information I need. So if I take this and I just press G, I can start, press this one, press G. I can start to separate these. So let's take this one and press G. In fact, I can go into wireframe and sort of follow the diagram. But we're going to be a little bit off the diagram, and so I'm not really too worried about that at this point. So I'm going to go back into solid view. All I want to do is I want to have a nice curve. And by the way, the curve will get nicer soon. Let's move this along. Don't want to make that not straight too much. The curve will get better when we add a subdivision surface. In fact, maybe I'll do this, and then I'll take this one, and we can straighten this in a second so that this edge is straight. But you see the way I move those so that they don't overlap, and it simulates a curve. Now here, I guess I will show you this right now. We will eventually, let's turn that wireframe off for a moment, be putting on a subdivision surface by going Control 2. Okay, and even shade smooth. All right, I just don't want it to overlap, so I'm not going to put on the subdivision surface right now, and I'm actually going to shade flat because I want to see this. And I'll come back and I'll put the wireframe on. All right, we'll go back in edit mode. Okay, so that's what we've done. So now we're going to come down here, deselect everything else, and say, oh boy, this is messed up here. All right, let's just drag this one up a little bit. Drag this one over a little bit. And it doesn't matter if it goes off the diagram. We're just modeling our own thing. We're not trying to be precise. We just want a cool little Renegade Roller here. Select this vertex. G. Pull it out. So now we have to decide if this is the right diameter for us. Are we happy with this? Does it roughly follow? I think it roughly follows the image, and so I think we're going to go with this. There's no subdivision surface on. We want to make sure that's off. Go back to the curves, and we're going to convert this into a mesh. And the first thing I want to do, though, is I don't want my mesh to be too dense with polys. I'm not actually that worried about it, but if you were creating a game asset, you'd certainly want to lower them. So here for this resolution preview, this number 12, I'm actually going to put a 3 in there. And I'm going to scroll down to the resolution here. And I'm going to put a 3 in there. And that's good enough. So I put in a 3 at the top and a 3 down here. And now I can go Object, Convert to Mesh. So with that selected, I can press Control 2 and Shade Smooth. And we now have the structure we wanted. We've created that pipe-like thing. We just have to sort of almost close off the ends. So let's do that. Let's go into edit mode. Number 2 for edge selection. Shift Alt and click this edge. Press 1. And I'm going to press E and S and come in. You see that it's starting to bend like that. That's okay. I want to do that. And then I'll put an edge loop. Control R, click, and I'm going to pull this down. I'm not really worried that it's perfectly straight. I want this a nice rounded edge again, because in this model their pieces are not perfectly straight. There's some softness to it, and if we wanted to, I can press GG and pull it down a little bit more, and I think I'm going to be happy with that. Okay, let's do the same thing up at the top here, where it starts to go into this piece here. Alright, so I'll go into edit mode, make sure nothing else is selected. Shift and Alt click here, and the way you can tell nothing else is selected is if your gizmo goes there. If I have this selected, and then I come up here and I go, wait, my gizmo's not right up around here, I know I got something else selected, so do that. And I just want to close this, so E and S, scale it in a little bit, and we'll need an edge loop here. We'll just drag it in so that we have a bit of a rounded edge. And we've done that part. Let's not forget to save. Let's hide that and look at our work. Cool. All right, let's carry on. We want to create this part, and I'm doing this all as one piece, this and this and this, and a little indentation. We'll do a little bend up to there. Okay, and so we want to start with a new object right here. We're going to use a cylinder, and I want to bring the cylinder right up near the top. So I'm going to select here. I've actually already got that edge selected all the way around. So let's bring the 3D cursor there by going Shift S, cursor to selected. My 3D cursor is now there, and I'm ready to begin again. Looking from the front, I'm going to use another cylinder. Shift A, mesh, cylinder. I'll use the same values. I have 18, but you know what? Let's get rid of this cap fill type. That's what's at the end here on the top and the bottom. An end gun, we want to switch this to nothing. Okay, let's minimize that. Let's go into edit mode, wireframe, and let's rotate this first around the y-axis that's facing us. Let's go RY90 and S to scale, and then pull it in the X, S to scale. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this right here, where before it slopes down. So right about there. And just S until, hold down Shift, you can move slower. Just about there. That's good. Don't worry about this dipping down yet. Shift and Alt and click, and we'll have that whole edge. All right, let's do what we did before. Let's press E to extrude, pull out, S to scale, and match roughly the contour of this. Now, I can't tell exactly what it does here, although if you look at the sides, it looks like it comes in and there's another piece, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. It's just a little easier to see when the vertices are highlighted. And I'm going to press E, click S, and pull until I see the orange dots, till this one sort of lines up with the top of that. And this one will line up there. And with those selected still, I'm going to press E to extrude and come out. I switched to vertex selection because I could see the size of this better. I don't know if that makes sense, but all right, I'm going to press S to scale just a little bit, come to about there, And now we're going to create this. We're going to extrude out and scale. So let's go E to out to here, S to scale, pull it in to about there. And we'll do one more extrusion, E to extrude, come out. All right, and I see that it's a little bit too big, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, I don't want to just scale these vertices, I want to scale these ones as well. So I'm going to go Control plus, S to scale, and I might Shift Alt and click this row of vertices, or you can do an edge selection, it doesn't really matter. I'll just pull it out a little bit more. Eventually I want this to cover this, and I'm going to just close that off by going E and S, just come down a ways, and let's leave it like that. Go back to solid so you can see. All right, let's leave that in there. Deselect by pressing Shift and Alt to select there. Look from the front. I'm just going to pull this out to here. We'll go back into wireframe, and we're going to do the same here. Pull it to there. I'm going to come down E, come down to here, S. I will be switching to vertex. Now I can't tell exactly what it does, so I'm just going to do whatever I feel like. Press 1 for vertex selection, E and S. I can see the top and bottom vertex vertices better. E, I'm going to come out to here, and I'm going to scale, and I'm just going to do a couple more. E and S, I'm going to come down to here, E and come out, scale, and I'll do one more little thing which you can barely see. E and S, come down to near the middle. Now this goes off the diagram, so E, just come out a little bit, okay, because the diagram's not perfectly straight. I want to close this. Let's hide the reference image. Let's go E and S, and I'm going to be filling this end, so I think I'm going to use face grid fill. I'll deselect, tab to go back into object mode, and let's have a look at this. Okay, let's go back into object mode and show the reference Z wireframe. Let's bend this right in the middle, Control R, put an edge loop, and just press S and pull it in till you get a bit of a bend on that. Now there is more to do. There's this piece. So just like we did down here with an indentation, we're going to do it up here. So I'm going to press Control R, and I'm going to slide this. Now by the way, when you first put an edge loop in, it is sliding along the edges, but if I stop there and deselect it and then I pull it, it will change the shape of this. See it there? Okay, so that's when you would use GG. Slide it into position, GG. And I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, just so it looks, I don't see all the vertices. You just have that roughly in the middle. Control B, pull, roll your mouse down to 0. So you're just creating a space. You've got a space selected all the way around this. All right, might be hard to see, but you do. There it is, all the way around. But in wireframe, it's easier. Look from the side. Okay, and I'm going to press E to extrude, click Alt S, and pull down. And I'm holding Shift, by the way. So, okay, I'm going to pull it down to about there, sort of matching the diagram. Deselect, Z solid, and I've got that. Okay, now we're going to add a subdivision surface. Modifier subdivision surface. Make this as 2, shade smooth, and then we're going to put some edge loops on here to make it a little bit sharper. Okay, but not too much. All right, and so you can just follow me if you like to where I want to put these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to slide down, and I'm going to put one here and slide up, just a little ways. I'm going to put one here. I'm just tightening this up a little bit by putting edge loops. I don't want it too sharp, but I do want some definition. And I think for this, we'll try one here. Maybe we'll bring another edge loop down here. And that's good enough for me, I think. Although I might do one more here. That might look a little bit better. And then on this end, I'm going to bring an edge loop down here. And I'm going to tighten this up with an edge loop, but I don't never bring them right to the end. I never do. I'll bring an edge loop here because I really like this structure, but I don't want it to be too sharp. I do think maybe we can just do one here. No, maybe we will bring one more out, but just not too close. Just to do that, and maybe here we'll do one here and one here on either side, roughly equidistant to now. It's GG. Bring it a little bit closer to make it a little bit sharper. And this is what we're getting. Now let's look at this and enjoy our work by, first of all, Control S. Let's switch to the cavity shader. And now we'll start to really look nice. Hey, isn't that cool? All right. If the pieces don't seem to fit for some reason, if they're not long enough, you can extend them. So I could, for example, come in here. It doesn't quite match, so I could, I have to adjust that. I think the best way is to go into wireframe, maybe one, turn off the subdivision, and press B to box select and try to get just the edge there and pull it in. Did I get something else? In fact, I could probably pull the whole thing in. That would be all right. That's good enough. That's fine. I'll turn on the subdivision again. All right. And for the bottom, let's see. We could pull this up, maybe. Okay, because it's nice and straight. Go into edit mode and wireframe and just press B to box select all the top part and just pull it up in a little ways. Okay, that's fine. And we could leave it at that. Or we could do something down at the bottom here. So let's bring the reference image back. And I'll tell you what I was thinking of. I kind of don't really want to do this hole, although I could show you how to do that. I kind of would like to do something different. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into wireframe and I'm going to press, let's hide the subdivision surface. Control R, and I'm going to pull it right down to the middle of there. 2 for edge selection. I'm going to press Control B to bevel, and I'm just going to create a section. I'm going to make like a wood, a metal, what do you call it? A bar metal piece that goes around it. And I'll have to show you this. Show you what I'm talking about. So I've selected that. In fact, I can shut this off because I'm making a modification now. All right. With that selected, I'm going to press E and Alt S and push out. I'm going to turn the subdivision surface back on. And then I'm going to bring an edge loop and bring it close to this. On top and on the bottom. And then do that. So I'm creating this little band. And we'll sharpen this up by putting an edge loop up near the top of this. And the bottom of this. Like that. And then I was thinking I would make a hole in this piece by doing this. Now, to make a hole, I want to put one more edge loop there. I'm looking right from the front, and see these 4 polygons, these 4 quads. I'm going to use this to make a hole. I'm going to press 3 for face selection, C for paint select, and I'm going to click there. I can select whatever I want. Hold down Shift and paint over it again. I want to use these 4 and I want to make a hole. But I think I'm going to do this on the back as well. So that's one for the front. Control 1 is the back. C and click there. So and press escape. So I've got the front and the back where I want to make a hole. I'm going to do something here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press I to inset, pull it in a little ways, just like that, and it's doing it on the back. And then with Loop Tools installed, which comes with Blender, you probably already have it installed. I'm going to right click, Loop Tools circle. I'm going to scale this, but I can't just scale them together like this. I'm going to have to switch to individual origins, and then I can scale each one, S to scale, individually like that. I'm going to press I to inset again, come in like that. And I think now I can go back to median point. I'm going to press E to extrude. I think I do have to be in individual origins because I want to go SY, scale in the Y. And let's see, they are both. Let's scale in the Y again. I want to just pull them in nice and far. It's going nice so far. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see, let's in face selection, Shift Alt and click that row. Shift Alt and click E and SY, scale in the Y, pull them out a little ways to create a little ridge there. That'll catch some light. And then we'll make, I was thinking of like a chain or chain link. Let's try this. I want a piece that comes out, and I'm going to use what I've got here. I'm going to Shift and Alt and click this edge. I'm in edge selection. I think I'll do this one at a time right now. Shift D to duplicate it and pull it away. P, separate it by selection. Go back into object mode, and I've created this piece. Go into edit mode. I'm not sure I'm going to need a subdivision surface, but we'll leave it for the moment. Let's extrude it back in to the hole. And let's take this and pull it out a bit. I'm going to press E and S and start to close this up, and maybe we'll do our grid fill. Now it looks a little funny, doesn't it? Okay, select it all. Look at this, press Alt N, recalculate outside. It's just the way our normals went. We can also shade smooth. I was thinking, and I'm going to probably need an edge loop here. See the way that straightens out? I was thinking two things. Number one, I'll show you. I'm just going to pull this in for the moment. I was thinking of just making a button there. Or maybe we could put an emission on there, and that's fine. That's one idea. Also thinking of making like a chain thing, so I don't know, well, this would work. Let me see, let's try it. I want to bring in, and that would go also on the other side. Let's select this and Shift S, cursor to selected. That will bring the 3D cursor there. Let's bring in a torus, and let's change this to like, I don't know, 16 and 8 or something, and scale it down like this. But I'm going to do more to this. Let's go ahead and rotate X 90 and pull it down. I want it like that exactly. I want it to be straighter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, looking from the front, Z and wireframe, 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to press B and box select, and then I'm going to just pull these down. Like that. In fact, I might go into solid view so I can just get a sense for this. I'll pull it down a little bit more. So I've got that. I can go ahead and do subdivision surface. I can try 1, shade smooth, or 2. All right. In fact, it might be nicer if I delete those. And delete those. It might be nicer if I take Shift Alt and click the edges here and extrude them down. Take the whole thing, Shift D, rotate X 180 degrees to flip the whole thing. Pull it down like that. And really, I could be in wireframe. I could box select these, and I want to join them. Control E, bridge edge loops. Box select these. Control E, bridge edge loops. Let's look again. I just think it looks a little better. And let's box select, and this we can just shorten this up a little bit. So that was one idea, and if I went with it, I would also like maybe let's select this E and Alt S and make a section pushing out. Let's pull that back on. Okay, and then bring an edge loop down here and an edge loop here, and I'll do one here, not too tight there, just to do that. And that's awfully small, so I'll take the whole thing, I'll scale it up, and we'll just see if it would look like it works, and then you can just click that to your belt or something. It is rather small, but that's okay. Alright, so now I can take the whole thing and I can just pull it in a little bit. And let's see. One on the other side. Well, we're going to have to do something on the other side, so we could mirror it. What I'll do is I'll press Shift C. That'll bring the 3D cursor right back to the middle. And then we'll take this piece, set origin to the 3D cursor, and then mirror that piece in the Y. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that mirror. And I might just copy that. Do I want it on both sides doing that? Or if not, I was thinking what I could do is I'll come in here and I want to select just this piece. I'm going to select a little bit and go Control L. And I was thinking maybe on this side I would just pull it in. So you have sort of like a button thing, or maybe it looks like it goes all the way through, I don't know. And you have that. Okay, and that pretty much is the modeling of that. So let's now have a look at this. Let's click here and do face orientation. Make sure it's all blue. That means all the polys are facing the right way, which is a good thing. And let's go over here, add shadow and matte cap, and we'll choose something that looks good. We can bring up, I can switch this to both, and I can just drag all these up and it'll look a little nicer. I often like to use one of these ones to check my work here. Maybe we'll use the red one. Alright, well, and you can turn these off now and have a close look. Just decide if you feel your lines are delineated enough. Let's say, by the way, my pipe part coming down to a small little chain. Yeah, I think that could work. It is small, but it's a detail. All right. So we are done the modeling, except for any potential touch-up. We'll leave it at that, and then we'll come back and do some kind of texturing for this thing. Thanks for watching.